everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the public meeting of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. The time is now 11:31 by my watch, and I call this meeting to order. As we begin, I want to remind everyone that public comments can be submitted to the Cannabis Regulatory Commission, both just during and after this meeting, in writing via our website, www.nj.gov/cannabis/meetings. The deadline to submit written comments for this meeting is Monday, October 18th at 5 p.m. Ms. Hogan, can you please read the notice of the public meeting?
Good morning, everyone. Madam Chairwoman, this is a regular meeting of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Adequate notice of the meeting has been provided in accordance with the Senator Byron M. Baer Open Public Meetings Act. The annual meeting schedule was noticed to the Asbury Park Press, Atlantic City Express, Bergen Record, Courier Post, and the Trenton Times in April 2021. The annual meeting notice was also provided to the Secretary of State and posted on the Secretary's Public Bulletin Board. The time and date change for this meeting was noticed to the same papers, the Secretary of State, and posted on the Secretary's Public Bulletin Board. Information regarding the virtual nature of the meeting due to the COVID-19 pandemic was posted in publications and on the CRC website. The meeting time and location has also been posted on the website of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission and with the Office of the Secretary of State.
Thank you, Ms. Hogan. Can you please take roll call?
Commissioner Barker.
Present.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso.
Here.
Vice Chair Delgado.
Present.
Commissioner Nash.
Present.
Chairwoman Waynu.
Present.
All members of the commission are present and we now have a quorum. The first order of business is for the commission to go into executive session to discuss legal matters and litigation updates. These are discussions that are now shared with the public. We believe the executive session should take about 90 minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman Waynu, I move into executive session so we can, the commission can discuss legal and litigation matters.
I second the motion.
All right, moved by Vice Chair Delgado, seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The motion passes. The commission will now go into executive session. Again, for the public watching, we expect the executive session to last approximately 90 minutes. We will leave the live stream running during that time and will return once executive session is done. We expect to resume the open public session at about 1 p.m. Thank you for your patience, and we will see everyone in just a few minutes. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for your patience. The executive session has now ended. Time is now 1:03, and we will resume the open public portion of this meeting. Ms. Hogan, can you announce the next agenda item, please?
The next item on today's agenda is approving the minutes of both the commission's open session and executive session held on September 14th, 2021. The minutes have been shared and reviewed by the members of the commission prior to this meeting.
Thank you. If there are no questions from commissioners, I'll ask for a motion to adopt the meeting minutes for September 14th. Is there a motion to adopt the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Nash. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the September 14th meeting minutes say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is carried.
Next up on the agenda is consideration of the 2019 Request for Application Cultivation Awards.
Thank you. Executive Director Brown, can you please provide a summary of the 2019 RFA and staff recommendations for cultivation endorsement awards?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. So before the commission are the recommendations for awards in the 2019 request for applications for alternative treatment centers. First for cultivation. Please go to the next slide. So the authority for this RFA comes from PL 2009, Chapter 307. Importantly, this RFA was issued prior to the effective date of Jay Koenig's law. And notably, the statutory charge in both the Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act and Jay Koenig's law for first the department and now the Cannabis Regulatory Commission is to seek to ensure the availability of a sufficient number of alternative treatment centers throughout the state pursuant to need, including at least 2 in each of the northern, central, and southern regions of the state. Next slide, please. In our regulations, which are now New Jersey Administrative Code Title 17, Chapter 30A, it notes that the commission may periodically request applications for the entities that seek authority to apply for a permit to operate an alternative treatment center. Next slide. A selection committee shall evaluate applications on the following general criteria: submission of mandatory organizational information, ability to meet overall health needs of qualified patients and safety of the public, experience in cultivating, processing, or dispensing marijuana in compliance with government-regulated marijuana programs, history of compliance with regulations and policies governing government-regulated marijuana programs, ability of applicants in ensuring adequate supply, workforce and job creation plans, including plans to involve women, minorities, and military veterans in ownership, management, and experience with collective bargaining in cannabis, community support and participation, and ability to provide research data. Next slide, please. Additionally, the commission shall convene a selection committee to evaluate and score each application. They shall have no personal, financial, or familial interest in any of the applicants or principles thereof. And the selection committee shall evaluate and score each application based on the quality of the applicant's submission and its conformity to the notice of request for applications published in the register. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go through the RFA timeline. This has been a 2-year process, and it started on July 1st, 2019, when the Department of Health's Division of Medicinal Marijuana, the department proposed to issue 15 dispensary awards, 5 cultivation awards, and 4 vertically integrated awards. After that notice, applications were accepted up until the deadlines, which were August 21st and 22nd, 2019. And there were initially 198 timely submissions received by the department, 40 applications for cultivation permits, 109 applications for dispensary permits, and 49 applications for vertically integrated permits. Quickly, 2 of those were noted to be incomplete. And so that timely submission number was quickly reduced to 196, but initially it was 198. Next slide, please. On November 18th, 2019, 51 applicants were disqualified for the submission of incomplete or otherwise deficient applications. 17 of those applicants appealed the department's final agency decisions to the Superior Court Appellate Division, all within 45 days. On December 23rd, 2019, the Superior Court Appellate Division issued a stay of our proceedings based on those appeals and requests for stays. And then on January 14th, 2020, the Appellate Division issued a clarification that stay included all proceedings, including scoring. As a result, the review of submitted applications comes to a complete stop as of January 14th, 2020. Please go to the next slide. On February 18th, 2021, following those 14 months in which the stay was imposed, the court affirmed the department's decisions in all but one case and dissolved the stay on the request for applications. As a result, the department was allowed to resume evaluation and scoring. And then on April 12th, 2021, the Cannabis Regulatory Commission is formed and assumed the authority over and responsibility for the request for applications. Next slide, please. So before I get into the awards, wanted to talk about patient need and where we stand in 2021. And before I get into the data I wanted to paraphrase Don Berwick, who's a former CMS administrator and historic advocate for patient-centered care. Mr. Berwick is one of the foremost experts on quality and healthcare reform. He said in a famous talk, "I fear being a patient. I fear the loss of influence over what happens to myself, the image of myself in a hospital gown, homogenized, being told when to wake, when to sleep, what to eat, and being alone when I want to hold my wife's hand." Mr. Don Berwick feared the indignity of not being able to choose his course in our healthcare system. I also want to go through and read off some of the conditions that qualify patients for medical cannabis: seizure disorder, cancer, ALS, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, inflammatory bowel disease, terminal illness, chronic pain, HIV and AIDS, and many more. These are all conditions that cause one to lose influence over their lives, to become patients. Over the last 3.5 years, I've talked to countless patients who've lost influence over their lives because of their conditions. They've shared with me their positive experiences with cannabis and how it has given them some of that influence back by reducing their pain, eliminating anxiety, and alleviating many of their worst debilitating symptoms. People who no longer seize multiple times a day and can actually work instead of being homebound. Cancer patients who can live their lives rather than being bedridden with side effects from their treatments. Children who are dying who can enjoy their final days as kids, playing, laughing with their family. I hear from these patients about how cannabis has helped them, but also about the challenges they face in accessing dispensaries, finding the products they need, and most of all, affording their medicine. As the data I'm about to run through will show, we've made great strides in reducing regulatory barriers for patients. It is easier than ever for patients to come into the program, but patients still face high prices, crowded dispensaries, and problems finding the strains they find most effective. As encouraging as it is to hear that medical cannabis can have a positive impact on a patient's life, it's equally as discouraging to hear that the market is not meeting their needs. Today, we have an opportunity to change that. We have an opportunity to make this a patient-centered system where access, choice, and accessibility are cornerstones of New Jersey's medical cannabis market. For our commissioners, I urge you to keep this in mind when you vote on these awards. Let's put patients first together. Thank you. Moving on to patient need, we've looked at, so the last time we looked at patient need was in our 2017-2018 biennial report. For these awards, we updated that data. We looked at current data and we compared the two. So what you see on the screen in front of you are projections made under that biennial report, both in two scenarios. First, the status quo scenario, which we projected as being the low growth scenario in the market. The second row is the biennial report projections under what we termed our EO6 scenario. That was the high end projections in that report. The next two rows are actual program statistics. The first from the last 12 months and the second from the last 24 months. I'll call your attention to the EO6 patients enrolled per month and the last 12 months program statistics patients enrolled per month. The average over the last 12 months is less than 20 off from the projection in the biennial report for the EO6 scenario. Where we missed, however, was the number of patients disenrolling every month. So we projected that as we reduced regulatory barriers and if we were successful in expanding the market, we would see more and more patients staying in the market. That has not come true, unfortunately. What we are seeing is a high number of patients disenrolling every month. And I'll note, when you look at both the last 24-month program statistics and the last 12-month, it's a similar picture. And that's to note, this is not a new phenomenon post the passage of the new law that decriminalized possession. It's not, result of the run up to personal use cannabis sales. This has been happening for the past 2 years. For the past 2 years, we've been averaging over 2,000 patients every month disenrolling. Many of those conditions I ran through are chronic, incurable. So looking at the last column, total registry growth per month, while our projections on patients enrolled per month were right on with the high-end projections in the biennial report, actual registry growth is more in line with what we projected on the low end, the status quo scenario. Next slide, please. To look at why this may be, I want to call attention to two stats. Number one, the price of cannabis sold in the state of New Jersey in our medical cannabis program, and the patients per dispensary. That's the number of patients per every dispensary we have in the program. If you look at these prices, they are consistent. They're not lower. In some cases, the high end is actually higher in 2021 than it was in 2017. And the low end has been pretty consistent, fluctuating up and down. When we look at patients per dispensary, that has actually increased versus 2017. It topped out at about 8,000 patients per dispensary, and we're now about 5,300 patients per dispensary. Next slide. If we look at the total market snapshot, so if we're looking at patients per region, canopy per region, that's the amount of grow space in each region in our permitted alternative treatment centers and dispensaries, you can see the patients per dispensary per region, the amount of canopy per region, and then also the current price range, current list price range in each region. And you can see the prices have not come down, prices remain high. And patients still complain that they cannot afford their medicine. They also complain that there are not enough dispensaries and they have to drive far distances and wait in lines to access their medicine. Next slide, please. Patient enrollment is showing no signs of abating either. When we look at the past 12 months, in fact, the average is again, over 5,000. And you can look at from February 2021 on, that February 2021 is when PL 2021 Chapter 16 was signed, which decriminalized marijuana and set us on the path we are now to implement personal use cannabis sales in the state of New Jersey. Patient enrollment is consistent. And we have enrolled 62,500 patients in the last year, but the registry has not grown in that amount. Next slide. So if we take those current numbers, the amount of patients enrolling every month, as well as the amount of patients disenrolling every month, and we update the projections in the biennial report, we get this picture. As of October 2021, that is today, we would project that we will hit 121,000 patients enrolled by the end of this month. We're on track to get to that. And we would need 418,974 active production square feet permitted in order to serve that population, with an average square foot per facility of 20,000 square feet. And that is the average in the market today per cultivator. That would mean we would need 26 cultivators today active and 61 dispensaries today active in order to serve this patient population. I'll note that in a recent report to Vermont's Cannabis Commission, one of their committees on market structure actually projected a similar total recreational consumer population for their adult use market, about 120,000, and they projected that consumer population would require, right in line with these projections, 400,000 square feet of active production to cover. Next slide, please. So going off of that patient need and going off of the fact that 2 years have passed since over 2 years have passed since we set out on this journey, and the patient population looks dramatically different than it did then. Enrollment shows no signs of abating, and we plan to continue to reduce regulatory barriers. We need to address that need now. And that's why I am recommending, and staff, that we double the proposed cultivation awards as part of this RFA from 5 awards to 10. We set the original number of cultivation awards in the July 2019 RFA as the minimum threshold for awards in each tier, and make awards accordingly. Next slide, please. Please go back one. So in order to come up with the scores consistent with our regulations, we convened a selection committee. That selection committee was broken into 3 teams, each responsible for a portion of the application. Team 1 was responsible for criterions 1 through 5, as outlined here, and had experience in quality assurance, public health, emergency preparedness, pharmaceutical assistance, fiscal management, public affairs, and the management of environmental resources. Team 2 was responsible for criterion 6, experience in cultivating, manufacturing, or dispensing marijuana in compliance with government regulated marijuana programs. And they had expertise in the regulation of those things, the regulation of cultivation, manufacturing, and dispensing. Team 3 was responsible for criterion 7, which included workforce and job creation, including plans to involve women, minorities, and military veterans in ATC ownership, management, and experience with collective bargaining. And that was 4 measures. And they had experience in workforce development, labor compliance, business development, and the certification of minority-owned, women-owned, and disabled or veteran-owned businesses. Next slide. Further, the selection committee, each member certified to have no conflicts of interest with respect to the applicants. Each member disclosed and attested that they did no outside or personal business that would conflict with the work on the committee. Each member is a full-time state employee subject to uniform ethics code. And each member attended at least 2 trainings, once in 2019, and then refreshed in 2021 after stays were dissolved, and received detailed scoring instructions. Next slide. So once we collected scores, we conducted some post-scoring accountability. Our staff reviewed score sheets to ensure compliance with scoring instructions and the RFA instructions. We conducted a statistical analysis, of all teams and scores to identify statistical outliers. We audited the submitted application materials. Based on those measures in the audit, we requested selection committee members to revisit and or confirm scores that the quality control review and audit identified as containing a typographical error or potential inconsistency with the RFA, the scoring instructions, or were deemed to be a potential outlier according to the statistical analysis. Please go ahead. So when we talk about what comes after the award, we've learned some things over the years, and we're recommending a number of measures in our final agency decisions that awarded applicants must comply with. So first and foremost, this is a medical RFA. It is a request for applications to serve those patients that I talked about earlier. So we recommend that awardees have to prove themselves in serving those patients before converting to recreational cannabis activities. So awarded applicants must operate in the medicinal cannabis market for 1 year prior to expansion to conduct recreational cannabis activities. Because so much time has passed, applicant awardees will have to confirm site control and local approval for the endorsement within 20 business days of award. They'll have to confirm that they've received the minority business, woman-owned business, or veteran-owned business certification if they applied with it, and it's in good standing within 20 business days. And I can tell you that of the proposed awardees that I'm going to get to, all of them possess either a minority-owned business certification or a women-owned business certification. They cannot add any new owners prior to permit issuance, and no majority ownership changes or management services or agreements that were not disclosed on the application can be entered into for 2 years. And they have to operate in accordance with the application that was originally submitted. Additionally, it's important to note that awards, once given, are provisional, and they do not guarantee the issuance of a permit. Permit issuance is based on verification of information in the application, ability to implement the plans in the application, compliance with the award conditions, and compliance with all medicinal cannabis regulations and statutes. So we are offering a formal debriefing period after these awards. Any 2019 RFA applicant may submit questions or a grievance in writing to the commission during the formal debriefing period at the following email address: crc.licensing@crc.nj.gov. The debriefing period will commence on Friday, October 15th, 2021, and end on Tuesday, October 19th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 business days. No additional questions will be accepted after that submission deadline. Submissions should include at a minimum the applicant's business name, contact information, and a question directly related to the 2019 RFA process. All questions that are deemed relevant to the 2019 RFA will be answered, and we will respond in writing to those questions within 30 calendar days of the close of the debriefing period, which will be by November 18th, 2021 at 5 p.m. So before we get to the recommended awards, I wanted to show everybody the 15 highest scoring cultivation applications. And you can see them here. They range from a high score of 273.67 to 225.67. And you can see the canopy size and the regions in which they submitted their application. You can go to the next slide here. So based on the criteria outlined, the recommended expanded awards, the first recommendations for selection in the 2019 cultivation RFA are the 2 highest scoring 30,000 square feet cultivation applications, and that is Hillview Med Incorporated in the northern region and CYOUR and J LLC, also in the Northern region. Second, we should select the two highest scoring 20,000 square feet cultivation applications. And that is GSCC Management LLC in the Northern region and NJ Nectar Ventures LLC in the Central region. Finally, we select the highest scoring 5,000 square foot cultivation application, and that is Noble Valley Harvest Company in the Central region. Next slide, please. Finally, after making those awards, we recommend the commission select the next 5 highest scoring applicants that have not previously been selected for proposed awards, such that among the total 10 selected applicants, there are at least 2 cultivators selected from the Northern region, 2 selected from the Central region, and at least 1 selected from the Southern region. And these 5 awardees, all the next highest scorers who have not been selected are Green Medicine NJ LLC in the Central region, Bloom Medicinals of PA LLC in the Southern region, ZY Labs LLC in the Central region, and Garden State Relief LLC in the Southern region. And finally, the NAR Group Incorporated in the Central region. In total, these recommended awards would result in 3 awards in the Northern region and a total maximum additional canopy for medical cannabis for 80,000 square feet, 5 awards in the Central region with maximum additional canopy at 95,000 square feet, and 2 awards in the Southern region for a maximum canopy of 60,000 square feet, total up to 235,000 square feet of canopy added to the medical cannabis market. And thank you, Madam Chair. That is an overview of the recommended awards.
Thank you, Director Brown, for that very informative explanation on the patient's needs, as well as the methodology that staff have applied for the evaluation of these applications. Do I hear a motion on this matter from any of my fellow commissioners?
Yes, I move to approve the resolution concerning the approval of applications for cultivation permit endorsements pursuant to the 2019 request for applications process as recommended by CRC staff.
Motion made by Commissioner Nash. Do I have a second?
Second.
I second as well. Oh, go ahead.
Seconded by Commissioner Dulcet Cosa. It's all right. Is there any discussion on the matter? Hearing no discussion, Ms. Hogan, can you please call a vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Nay.
Commissioner Dulcet Cosa,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado. Vice Chair, I think you're on mute.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The resolution passes. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is the consideration of the 2019 request for applications vertically integrated awards.
Thank you. Director Brown, could you please provide a summary of this staff's recommendations for these sets of awards?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Please go to the next slide. So going back to the request for applications, the RFA spells out selection criteria for the 4 vertically integrated awards. It notes that the first 3 will be the highest scoring vertically integrated applicant in each region, and the 4th vertically integrated ATC will be selected based on overall score and patient need. Next slide, please. In order to determine the region for the fourth award, we took a formula to essentially look at demand versus supply. And in this formula, we take patient enrollment in each region over total patient enrollment plus population in each region over total population divided by canopy in each region over total canopy plus dispensaries in each region over total dispensaries. And that results in essentially a measure of quantified need, in which higher numbers dictate there's a higher need. We ran this formula in 2 scenarios. First, without the cultivation awards, as I just went through. And then secondly, after those cultivation awards. So with that added canopy that the cultivation awards that we just went through would add, and in both of those scenarios, the same region comes up as the region for the fourth award, and that is the central region. Next slide, please. Similarly to awardees in for cultivation, awarded vertically integrated applicants must comply with the same post-award conditions. Next slide. And additionally, again, these awards are provisional and are based on the ability to adhere to those post-award conditions and our overall regs and statutes. Next slide, please. Once again, we have our formal debriefing period for any 2019 RFA applicant. That information is presented here again, and it is also available on our website, or will be available on our website. Next slide, please. So when we look at the highest scoring vertically integrated applicants, this is the slate with total scores ranging from 785 out of 900 to 733.33 also out of 900. The reason it's out of 900 instead of 300 like the cultivation is because these were essentially applications for 3 different permit endorsements within one application. So it's 300 per each of those. So 300 for dispensary, 300 for cultivation, and 300 for manufacturing. So as far as recommended selections, please go to the next slide. In selecting the highest scoring applicant in the northern region, that applicant is Etain NJ LLC. In selecting the highest scoring applicant in the central region, it is recommended to select Altus New Jersey LLC. In selecting the highest scoring applicant in the southern region, it is recommended to select Greenhouse Wellness of NJ LLC. Those are all the highest scoring applicants in each one of those regions. And then the fourth award coming from the central region would go to the next highest scoring applicant in that region, which is Holistic NJ1 LLC. And that, so in total, with those selections, that results in another 30,000 square feet of, or maximum additional canopy of 30,000 square feet in the north, 60,000 square feet in the central region, 30,000 square feet in the south, as well as 1 additional manufacturing lab in each the north and the south, 1 additional dispensary in each the north and the south, and then 2 manufacturing labs and 2 dispensaries in the central region. In total, with all of these recommended awards, a postmark, looking at a projected market snapshot post-award, we have 10 entities potentially permitted to cultivate, 16 entities that are vertically integrated, and of those 16 entities, 27 dispensaries, so that's the current dispensaries that are currently operating, as well as the 4 others that are recommended for award here. And a maximum additional canopy of up to 355,000 square feet. And Madam Chair, those are the recommended awards for vertically integrated.
Thank you, Director Brown. Do I hear a motion on this matter?
Yes, I move to approve the resolution concerning the approval of applications for these vertically integrated permits pursuant to the 2019 request for application process as recommended by our Executive Director and the CRC staff.
Thank you, Commissioner Del Coso. Do I hear a second? Any second on the motion?
I second this motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. And is there any discussion on the matter? Hearing no discussion. Ms. Hogan, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Nay.
Commissioner Del Coso,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The resolution passes. Thank you. Next, we have the open public comment period.
So as we open the floor to public comment, I want to emphasize what Director Brown stated earlier. If you are applicants with questions about or grievances with the 2019 request for applications process, you can submit your question or grievance in writing to the CRC at crc.licensing crc.nj.gov. Again, that is crc.licensing@crc.nj.gov. Those questions and grievances must be submitted by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, October 9th. Members of the public who are not looking to share questions or grievances about the RFA can submit public comments during and after this meeting in writing via our website, nj.gov/cannabis/meetings. The deadline for submitting written comments that are, again, not related to questions or grievances about the RFA is 5 p.m. on Monday, October 18th. And written comments will be shared with the commission members. So we will now turn to those individuals who have signed up. We will hear from individuals who registered to speak in advance in the order in which they signed up. Speakers today will be limited to 3 minutes. So I encourage everyone to please be mindful of the time limit and be concise during your comments. The public comment period is meant to give members of the public an opportunity to address the commission about matters that the commission should be aware of. It is not a space for people to simply market or advertise their private businesses. So please keep your remarks focused on matters that pertain to the commission's work or items that the commission should be aware of. Our staff member, Mr. McWhite, will call out the names of those registered speakers 5 at a time. When it is your turn to speak, Mr. McWhite will ask you to unmute yourself. Now, I do see we have a few folks joining us by phone. So if you are dialing in on the phone, you'll have to press *6 to unmute yourself when told to do so. Now, in order for our staff to unmute individuals who signed up to speak, your full name or phone number as it appears on Zoom must match the name or phone number you used to register to speak. So please ensure that your name matches the name you used to sign up. If you need to change your name as it appears on the Zoom platform, exit the Zoom meeting and immediately relaunch the Zoom meeting, which should prompt you to enter your name. If you're joining us by phone, the phone number, excuse me, the phone from which you're calling must match the number you used to sign up. We unfortunately will not be able to correctly identify you if you're a speaker, if your name or phone number does not match what you used to sign up. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. McWhite to call on our first speakers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. As a reminder, public speakers during this afternoon's public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes. Please be respectful and concise during your comments. We will be utilizing a countdown clock, and you will be given a 30-second warning as an indication to begin closing your comments, and you may begin when the clock starts. So I am going to call on the first names. 1 second here. And those first names are, when you hear your name, please raise your hand so that I may find you in the participant list. The first name is Smirta Kubi, Dr. Monique Hamilton, Hassan Austin, Michael Scarn, and Mary F. Esser. Again, that's Smirta Kubi, Dr. Monique Hamilton, Hassan Austin, Michael Scarn, and Mary F. Esser. Please raise your hands so that I may find you. I see you, Dr. Hamilton, and please proceed.
Hello. I'm Dr. Monique Hamilton, and I'm board certified in internal medicine. I am the co-founder and lead physician for the Dr. Moni Hammy Medical Center in South Orange, New Jersey. We appreciate the CRC's tireless efforts in establishing rules to govern the New Jersey cannabis marketplace. However, with any marketplace, non-compliance to rules is present. We feel compliance of the New Jersey Medical Cannabis Program rules established by the CRC can be best achieved by seeking the assistance of medical professionals. The Physicians work directly with the patients to improve patient care. The CRC should consider soliciting the help of the public with the formulation of a public committee to help ensure CRC initiatives. It is also important to ensure New Jersey patients are having ongoing assessments and evaluations while using medical cannabis to receive the highest quality patient care. This should include more than one visit per year for medical cannabis certification per the bona fide relationship criterion. Currently, the bona fide relationship is defined as, among other things, the physician has seen and/or assessed the patient for the debilitating condition on at least 4 visits. There are some physicians who evaluate a patient once and provide a one-time certification for 1 year. It is very important to maintain patient safety, and it is not safe medical practice to evaluate a patient once in 12 months. The patient deserves to be provided with the best education and the best information without compromise. We will be sending a report via mail and email detailing what companies and providers are practicing in this non-compliant manner. The DMMC also conducts cannabis education workshops from DMMC for municipalities, senior centers, veterans hospitals, veterans groups, and others. Due to the stigma associated with cannabis and health and wellness in general, education is the most critical component in breaking down that stigma to help save people's lives. The CRC should consider establishing a cannabis education initiative as well. The DMMC would be more than willing to participate in the initiative. I am passionate about educating patients about their health to empower them so they can overcome their health challenges. Oversight and education are 2 critical components needed to ensure compliance from the cannabis industry and the development of informed consumers of the cannabis industry. The CRC should consider the implementation of a public committee and an education initiative because they will make a positive impact on this emerging cannabis marketplace. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. Next, we have on my list Hassan Austin. You may proceed.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Yes. Good afternoon. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to speak to this process from a business development standpoint. You know, we represent a lot of the entrepreneurs, connecting them with the investment community alongside New Jersey municipalities in which the best pathway forward to procure licensing. And so with that, there's a lot of activity in the marketplace that is, let's say, disturbing. You know, we spend a lot of time trying to eliminate barriers for entrepreneurs, whether it be barriers from professional service providers, attorneys in particular. I know there's a lot of activities out there that are creating a lot of barriers for people who are pursuing licensing. And I just want to make a statement that we understand that, you know, the legal requirements, legal counsel is often necessary to proceed, but sometimes they may not be necessary. You really have to have a pretty comprehensive package. So feel free to pursue business plans, having a pretty strong business model in relation to the type of licensing that you're procuring. And again, this is directly to those professional service providers to not be so inclined to overcharge these applicants because the opportunity are there to do so. It's important that we do provide a certain level of assistance with this new marketplace as it is emerging, and not create barriers to these individuals as they enter the marketplace. And this goes beyond just that. You know, certainly there are consultants, there are accountants. There's a lot of activity in the marketplace that are creating barriers. And those barriers also exist on the municipal level. You know, a lot of stories around these municipalities charging for these quote unquote support letters to these municipalities. You know, you are doing a disservice to the marketplace by creating such barriers to an emerging marketplace like this cannabis marketplace. So please, I implore you to remove these barriers and ensure a a healthy pathway for applicants, for entrepreneurs, so that they can sustain themselves and be successful in the marketplace. So again, I just wanted to make that statement. And for the CRC having the challenges.
Thank you.
that
Thank you,
they have-
Mr. Hassan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
I do not see the other participants on the list, so we will move on to the next 5. They are Terry Festa, Travis Ally, Aaron Streeter, Tanner Travers, and Cindy Mayer. Again, please raise your hands. Terry Festa, Travis Ally, Aaron Streeter, Tanner Travers, and Cindy Mayer. I see Travis Ally. And please begin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Travis Alley, vertical applicant from the 2019 RFA in the northern region. Suffice it to say, I'm, extremely disappointed in the results. We didn't even crack the top 10, it looked like. Will we be able to, or when will we be able to get our applications and evaluate our scores? Of the vertical winners, how many of them were diverse applicants? Is that information that will be shared? And finally, as it relates to future rounds of licensing, is there going to be any sort of accommodation provided for 2019 applicants like there is for diverse applicants as far as like skipping the line, particularly for applicants from the 2019 RFA process that were, in good standing, held onto their property for 2 years, in our count about $700,000, and were diversity owned and minority owned. I'm sorry, diverse owned and veteran owned. Is there a stacking process whereby, that's going to be taken into account for future rounds? That's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Ally. Just a note, materials related to the 2019 RFA process will be posted on the Commission's website. I believe soon after this public meeting concludes. So some of your questions may be answered there. So I'll direct you to keep your eyes on the website for any additional information and materials that are posted there.
Next, I see Aaron Streeter. You may proceed.
Yes, hello, how's it going? My name is Aaron Streeter from Camden, New Jersey. We're opening up a small micro business that's it's going to be coming to Camden. It's going to be one of our first of our kind. And I'm just want to say how happy I am with the CRC that they are moving along, and that I just hope they stick to their word when they say about us impacting, about the impact zone guys and the legacy guys. I just want them to stick to their word and, make it happen for us. That's all living in the impact zone. So thank you.
Thank you. I do not see any others from this group, so we will move on to the next 5. Again, please raise your hand when you hear your name called. Lonnie Afrime, Shirali Patel, Shay Douglas, Darren Chandler, and Jarrell Register. That is Lonnie Afrime, Shirali Patel, Shay Douglas, Darren Chandler, and Jarrell Register. I see Shirali Patel, and you may proceed.
Thank you, CRC. Thank you, commissioners. I have the utmost trust in you guys that you will do the right thing in curtailing some of the issues that we are currently facing in this industry. Just to start, there's 2 things. Director Brown started with the patients, and I'm glad that he mentioned that, that is going to be the focus moving forward, because as a patient, I have severe concerns that there is no education happening. While we have more operators coming to this space, we'll have more access to products, the education is still lacking. Our recommendations don't come with any specific info for conditions, whether it's anxiety or cancer, and then we're left to our own, vices to be able to figure out what strains work for us. Of course, a lot of this is subjective, it's scientific, it's medical, but to the extent that we can incorporate more education to hold these ATCs accountable, I would really appreciate it. Because I don't feel that anyone's really doing a good job for patients right now, as far as the education side of it. And so if we can keep patients at a priority level, that would be hugely appreciated. And then social equity, when the CRC announced its initial rules and regulations, when we decided to do legalization, decrim, we kept talking about social equity, but it's hurting me because now when the CRC is trying to do the right thing, we have municipalities taking advantage of their ability to dictate what happens in their jurisdiction. I'm all for home rule, all about, municipalities deciding whether they want the businesses and what types of licenses, but to create local RFAs and application fees that are prohibitive for social equity, it's hindering all the smaller players. They can't afford to pay $10,000 at a municipal level, plus the state application. And so just being able to put something in place so that social equity applicants actually have a fair chance, because it's just not working out for them. And people have already been waiting so long for adult use and this market to get going that it won't kill anybody to wait a little bit more for the CRC to take their time in fleshing out those rules and regulations and dealing with the inconsistencies, because it's not helping anybody. And I really am concerned for social equity applicants on how they can get into this marketplace, especially for those that were in the legacy market, the transition. It's difficult for them to even share their experience because they're opening themselves up to liability for, federal scrutiny potentially. So maybe if you guys can shed any, insight onto how legacy operators can transition so that they can, have a legit way to make a means. And these people have already spent time behind bars and fees. They shouldn't have to continue to pay all of these application fees and, do what's being asked of them. So please take care of patients, please take care of social equity, and know you guys are doing your best. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. The next person I see is Jarrell Register. Please proceed.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to address the commission. My name is Jarrell Registry. I'm the managing director of the Curio WMBE Fund, a $30 million private equity fund developed to provide capital to female, minority, and disabled veteran entrepreneurs looking to establish cannabis dispensaries in New Jersey and other attractive cannabis markets. The fund supports diverse entrepreneurs by removing the access to capital barrier that's made it difficult for them to successfully apply for and build dispensaries, while providing a pathway to 100% debt-free ownership of a successful business. I'm here today to encourage the commission to evaluate the ownership requirements included in the regulations published last month regarding the upcoming personal use licensing process. Earlier this year, both houses of the New Jersey legislature passed an amendment to the medical cannabis program, which allows capital providers to support up to 7 diverse dispensary licensees by providing non-controlling equity investments of up to 35% ownership. The bill, SB 2875, is expected to be signed by the governor in the coming days. We believe this bill will enable prospective licensees to gain access to the capital necessary to build a successful business by providing a path to debt-free 100% ownership of their business. Please consider mirroring the ownership rules found in SB 2875 in the personal use regulations, such that entrepreneurs are able to access the capital they need to build a strong business from capital providers such as the Curio WMB Fund. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. The next person I see on this list is Darren Chandler. You may proceed.
You hear me?
Yes.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Darren Chandler Jr. I was a 2019 vertical applicant. Unfortunately, we lost. Disappointed with the results. also kind of disappointed with the CRC because you haven't got ahead of it, and we were forced to carry this real estate for all this time with no communication. And I would think that would be best. And, you know, you always preach fairness and social equity, that there has to be some constellation to that. You know, we all took a risk and made a business calculated decision, but no one could have calculated waiting for 28 months. And also, I wanted to know what's the reasoning that the vertical licenses weren't increased as well alongside of the cultivation licenses. I think that would have been something to put, you know, build some good faith with as well. I guess I want to just say at the end, congratulations to all the winners, and that's all.
Thank you. I do not see any other participants on this bunch, so I will move on to the next. When you hear your name, please raise your hand. We need Lincoln Adam Granton, Carlos Jaramillo, Mario Ramos, Kevin Michaelan, and Charles Williams. Again, that is Lincoln Adam Granton, Carlos Jaramillo, Mario Ramos, Kevin Michaelan, and Charles Williams. I do not see any of those participants. Please remember, you had to have signed into this Zoom with the name that you registered with. If your name has been called, please sign out of the Zoom and sign in with the name that you used to register. One more time, that's Lincoln Adam Gratton, Carlos Jaramillo, Mario Ramos, Kevin Michaelan, and Charles Williams. Thank you. So we're going to move on to the next five. That will be Sharonjeet Sajan, Joshua Gonzalez, Joe Hernandez, Ronald P. Mondello Esquire, and John Hatzikotis. I see Ron Mondello. You may proceed.
Thank you. I have attended all the CRC meetings, and you are about to hear something very different, something that you haven't heard before. I am a crimes and immigration attorney, crimmigration to be short. And that phrase or that term was coined by law professor Juliet Stumpf. I've been representing people of color, mostly foreign nationals from Latin America, the Caribbean, and about a dozen African countries as either a public defender or in private practice my entire career. I'm here to speak on behalf of those who have no legal voice, and they've been forgotten in our cannabis decriminalization. My clients are in immigration deportation proceedings based on drug distribution, drug possession, drug paraphernalia, wandering for the purposes of obtaining drugs. You get the idea. There's a father of four from Jamaica or Nigeria or the Dominican Republic or Haiti or Congo who's been here for 20 years deserve to be violently separated from his family because he sold less than 50 grams of marijuana and the sale was on his porch, which happened to be within 1,000 feet of a school zone. You can't walk anywhere in most of our urban towns like Camden, Newark, Passaic without being 1,000 feet or less from a school zone. Our drug school zone crimes severely, disproportionately impact young males of color. My clients are then subject to ICE mandatory custody, where they spend months or years before being deported. I have dozens of these heartbreaking stories, always involving marijuana. Because my clients are not US citizens, they're more severely penalized. They're ripped from their families. I recognize you have no special magical powers to bestow sympathy upon those who prosecute these foreign nationals. You have no authority to change the criminalization laws, but you have influence. We all do to a certain extent. So perhaps in your conversations, as I have had with Acting Attorney General Brook, and perhaps in your conversations with the governor, someday, some way, you can strongly convey the message that these foreign national brothers and sisters of color involved with nonviolent drug offenses should receive special consideration, giving their impending banishment from the only country they love. The prior Attorney General issued immigration directives. They don't have to comply with it. I'm of the belief that they must. Social justice demands it. Real social justice requires it. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any of the other public commenters, I will move on to the next 5. That is Cheryl Murray Powell Esquire, Zach Katzen, Ambra Melendez, Paul Josephson, and David Hatchett. Again, please raise your hand when your name is called. Cheryl Murray Powell Esquire, Zach Katzen, Ambra Melendez, Paul Josephson, and David Hatchett. I see you, Cheryl. One second. And you may proceed.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Cheryl Murray Powell Esquire. I'm a cannabis, agricultural, and dietary supplement attorney. I've been in the space doing social justice, social equity, and social responsibility work for 6 years now. I'm really proud of the fact that things are advancing. I'm also the business development manager for Creative Services Incorporated. We are a screening company that works with commissions as well as license holders to build high-performing teams. My comments today are specific to the agenda items. First of all, I want to say congratulations to the winners. It's good to see that, after being involved in this process since 2019, this was one of the first matters that the CRC decided to take care of. So thank you to the CRC for ending this suspenseful period where we're wondering who will get these licenses. So congratulations again to the awardees. Moving forward, this allows for us to move forward with the social equity licenses, and a lot of work has already gone into the process of making that a fair and equitable process. So I just wanted to say it's good to see progress. There are always going to be people who are not successful when we have these types of selection processes, but what matters is how we move forward and how the rules, which have been designed to create a fair, robust, and growing cannabis industry, how those rules are used to allocate licenses in the future. And the most important piece of this is that this is a good thing for cannabis patients, even though this is the medical space, so this is especially relevant for cannabis patients. But even as we migrate into allocating adult use licenses, because people who are adult use patients or adult use consumers, a lot of them are medical patients. They just wish to be anonymous. So all of this activity is being done with good intentions, and it is good for medical patients. It's good for consumers. It is good for our cities, and it's good for the economy of New Jersey. So again, thank you for this opportunity to speak. We are available as a resource as we're moving forward with regards to screening at CSI, and myself as an attorney, I am also available as a resource. So thank you again, congratulations, and I'm looking forward to what's next.
Thank you. I see Zach Katzen. You may proceed.
Hello, my name is Zach Katzen. I'm with the Atlantic City Cannabis Commission, and I just wanted to speak a little bit about the challenges for municipalities with legalization. As we know, the CRC was tasked to create a monumental amount of legislation within a very short period of time. And one of the things I think that almost got left behind is guidance for municipalities. Municipalities need direct guidance on how to enact an office of cannabis, who should be actually handling these affairs for the office, how they should be handling them. They are lost. They are pulling people from all different departments who obviously cannabis is not their main focus or function. They're just trying not to make a mistake within the realm of cannabis while they are, trying to do their duties on whatever other side that they're doing, whether it be zoning, planning and development, public works, or this or that. The municipalities need direction, they need guidance, they need understanding in order to regulate this billion-dollar industry that's coming into each town. And that's why we're seeing such a big problem as far as whether or not you can charge for application fees or letters or things like that. And it's not so much that people are trying to take advantage, it's just they don't know. They don't have guidance and they're really lost, and they really could use some type of direction from the state or from the CRC that says this is how we would, typically like to see an office of cannabis set up within a municipality as a framework. Obviously, every place is going to be different, but giving them some guidance, letting them know that there probably should be one officer dedicated to cannabis within your town if you're going to allow all 6 classes of licenses. Just even a hotline or some point of contact that towns, places that have decided to opt in can reach out for guidance, for understanding, just for general basic knowledge. Because at the end, what that does is that helps create a better product and a better consumer relationship. The consumers are going to have a better product. The consumers are going to have a better experience. The medical patients are going to have a better experience because the town is run properly, it's regulated properly, and they have a handle on things like unregulated illegal businesses that are opening because they know how to approach them and how to tackle these issues. So some guidance, a package, something for municipalities from the CRC, or at least a hotline, an open point of communication would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any other hand raised. We will move on to the next bunch. That is Javid Norkunis, Zachary Finkelstein, Jack Payne, Brandon Chewy, and Eric Jiang. Again, that is Jeff Norkunis, Zachary Finkelstein, Jack Payne, Brandon Chewy, and Eric Jiang. Please raise your hand if you heard your name called. Seeing none, we will move on to Rahi Abouk, Surab Zubarji, Mohammed Zaire, Stephen Yergin, and Tatiana Lofton. Again, that is Rahi Abouk, Sorab Zubarji, Mohammed Zaire, Stephen A. Yergin, and Tatiana Lofton. Please raise your hands if you've heard your name called. Seeing none from that bunch, we will move on to the next 5, which are George Bowley Jr., Leo Bridgewater, Charles Latini Jr., David Fetter, and Jason Bacon. Once again, that's George Bowley Jr., Leo Bridgewater, Charles Latini Jr., David Fetter, and Jason Bacon. Charles, you may go ahead.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the American Planning Association, New Jersey chapter, I thank you all for the opportunity to address this body once again. I fully appreciate the very difficult task you all have. I've worked on some big, major, difficult initiatives myself, state and locally, from the state plan to major redevelopment and startup companies, but nothing like the advent of a new industry. That said, I've been working for government for 25 years now, and development of a process and its inclusivity and transparency is truly, truly difficult work. I get it. I feel, however, compelled to, especially within such a litigious, charged environment, to consider the process and how information is disseminated, shared, and partnerships formed. I've always found useful Arnstein's ladder of public participation in how I formulate my processes, and I encourage you all to take a look at that. It helps me avoid a lot of the anxieties from the public and the confusions and everything else, especially with social media nonsense these days. It definitely helps everybody. Transparency and true inclusion is actually work that is important to fortify us against lawsuits and the like. And I think, encouraging techniques that'll help get rid of some of the frustration will be really, really great. I really believe you all are doing a great job, and your intent is to be inclusive, but we can always do better. So, this is our New Jersey, and we're all here to help you. The American Planning Association has been leading public policy initiatives for a long time. We continue to offer to help. We continue to follow the protocols. We've asked for meetings, especially in regard to inclusion in this industry and how to ensure those impacted by the war on drugs not only get access to, but long-term success in this industry. And we've heard nothing from those our requests. So I would appreciate a response in some way, shape, or form soon. I apologize for the rant on such a great day for some of us and not so great on others, but at least we all know what's going on now and what we're going to be doing for the next couple of months. I ask for your consideration, not to trying to frustrate the process, which I 100% understand is a very difficult one. So thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you. Next will be Leo Bridgewater. You may proceed.
Good afternoon, members of the
You're breaking up.
See? Oh, wait. Okay, forget it.
There you
Sorry,
go.
guys. I'll
There
just
you go.
try it another time.
No, Mr. Bridgewater,
No, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
You're sounding much
I'm
better.
sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Thank you for everything, for reaching this milestone. Appreciate all you. I appreciate the continued emphasis on patience, and I appreciate the continued engagement with the public, and remind you all to maintain that in terms of being cognizant of patient needs, but also in facilitating this logistical aspect of turning on this industry. I recognize that what is asked of you is a monumental task, but I do say take heart in knowing that as of right now, 366,000 New Jerseyans had their records expunged. A lot of people who didn't have access to benefits now have those benefits, and that we continue to make a way for them to be able to at least work in this industry that has persecuted them for so long. With that, I'm gonna take my leave because I got all messed up with that timer, but I appreciate all that you do. and I look forward to more public and civic engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I see is David Fetter. You may proceed.
Hello, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate the CRC and all the work that you guys have been doing, and I'm happy you guys finally were able to get these 2019 license applications awarded. I would love to understand how the CRC decided to expand the program in one category rather than the other, considering the fact that the vertical integrated licenses also have cultivation attached to them. I'd like to understand, where the department decided to only expand the program licenses as to cultivation rather than to the vertically integrated licenses, considering those are also obviously cultivation focused. But that being said, I'm happy that the winners were able to get the satisfaction of getting their licenses after all this time. But kind of mirroring what was said earlier by one of the other speakers, I think it's critical that the CRC does something to try to accommodate the people that have spent 2 years spending significant amounts of money, maintaining all sorts of relationships and continuing to spend money for all this time in order to have this opportunity to get a license. I think the department should consider that very strongly as it relates to the upcoming round of adult use licenses, and perhaps consider giving these applicants an accommodation in exchange for all the work and all the money that they've spent to just get to this timeline. Another point I just wanted to bring up with respect to the adult use licenses is as it relates to the municipalities themselves. In some instances, the municipalities are requiring their own mini RFA process, where they're requesting and they're requiring people that want to apply for licenses to submit extensive documentation, almost as expansive as and as extensive as the application itself. In some instances, they're requesting things that might even be deemed intellectual property, and these are highly sensitive things that they're requesting from people that want to simply apply for a license in their jurisdiction. And I think the CRC should really take a hard look at this, whether this is appropriate at all, and perhaps make it more feasible for people to submit applications in the towns where they have access to. As we know now, there's many municipalities that have opted out. There's very few that have opted in. And I think that to preclude people from applying for a license in a town because they don't have their entire application, their entire RFA prepared, or they're not able to spend the amount of money that these townships require them to pay just to apply for a license is highly unethical and really goes against the nature of the program and how it was designed. But I really do appreciate you guys, all the work that you've put in thus far, and I'm excited to see how the program, the adult use and the medical ones, advance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I see Jason Bacon. You may proceed.
Hi, good afternoon. My comment is regarding a specific requirement in the personal use cannabis rules for conditional micro business license applicants. Specifically, the stipulation is found in subchapter 7, section 3, paragraph C, item 14, which states, for a micro business license applicant, proof that at least 51% of the total number of persons included in the micro business license applicant or license holder, including all owners, principals, and employees, are residents of either of the municipality in which the micro business is or will be located, or of a municipality bordering such municipality at the time of the application. And I'm requesting that the CRC amends and strikes this stipulation specifically in the conditional application. And this should only be a requirement, which I know is statutorily required, when an applicant is applying, if successful with a conditional license, when applying for the full annual license. And this is because for social equity applicants specifically, such as myself, who currently resides in a county, specifically Ocean County, where essentially every township has banned personal use cannabis businesses, this will require an applicant to, in advance of submitting just a conditional license application to move to a particular municipality that allows recreational cannabis businesses, and then still have to contend with being awarded the license from the CRC, but then getting site control, municipality approval. And at that point, I think what should happen is if this amendment is stricken, the person can then basically apply, identify the site, get municipal approval, and then move to the township or a bordering township where they intend to locate the business in advance of submitting the full conversion for the annual license. So that's my comment, and thank you very much. And also, big thank you to Chairwoman, Vice Chair, and Director Brown for the webinar the other night. Very informative. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have George Bowley. You may proceed. George, you would have to unmute yourself if you're trying to talk right now. We can't hear you.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. I want to extend, as similar speakers have, my gratitude to the commission, to the Regulatory Commission on the process thus far and the almost insurmountable objectives which they had to overcome and coordinate. My two specific questions relate to, first, consumption lounges. I would like maybe one of the technical individuals to maybe share with us the regulations in Jersey regarding consumption lounges, particularly the stipulation which states that they have to be annexed or attached to a retail dispensary. And are there any paths moving forward for standalone consumption lounges? In addition, my second question relates to the coordination and partnership between the state and the municipalities. It seems to be a reoccurring issue that municipalities are taking the saying, this is your domain, and they're really running with it. And we do recognize that the state has given them a very premium authority over zoning and RFA's requirements. But what level of consideration was put towards developing these documents and regulations in harmony with municipalities, or at least some type of structure or framework that would limit the scope or the scope of authority which the municipalities have, whereas so as to eliminate redundant and recurring processes for applying for licenses. So thank you very much to everyone. And it's been great to hear from all the speakers and interested party. Thank you.
George, just before you go, can you confirm your last name for our minutes?
Yes, Gerald Witherspoon. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, did you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I believe George had a little bit of a mix-up. I believe George Bowley just raised his hand. So George, I'm going to ask you to unmute and please confirm your name for us.
George Bowley. Can you
Please
hear
proceed.
me?
Yes.
I just have a question concerning the category 3, 4, and 6 licenses for wholesale, distributor, and delivery for adult consumption. We couldn't find any fees. Do we know what those licensing fees would be for the beginning licenses before we convert to the annual?
Mr. Bowley, I believe you're referring to the distributor, wholesaler, and delivery service licenses. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the information on the details for those licenses has not yet been established by the commission. All of the information that the licensing details that have been established by the commission thus far are on our website, and either in the, you can find them either in the full 160-page rule document or in our summary documents. Forthcoming will be the commission's rules and regulations with respect to the wholesalers, distributors, and retail, delivery services.
All right, and one more question really quick. Will there be any location restrictions for those licenses, meaning you have to live in the specific municipality that allows, that hasn't opted out?
Anything that is already written into statute would still apply, but the details on what would be required for those licenses has yet to be determined, and that will be spelled out in the regulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Last but certainly not least, we'll have Matthew Baker. You had your hand raised earlier, so we're going to ask that you raise your hand one more time when you're ready. But while you're getting ready, we're going to give one more opportunity for those that have been missed. So we will run down those names now. Those are Smyrta Kubi, Michael Scarn, Mary F. Esser, Terry Festa, Tanner Travers, Cindy Mayer, Lonnie Freemay, Shay Douglas, Lincoln Adam Granton, Carlos Jermio, Mario Ramos, Kevin Michaelan, Charles Williams, Sharonjeet Sajan, Joshua Gonzalez, Joe Hernandez, John Hatzikotsis, Zachary Finkelstein, Jack Payne, Brandon Chewy, Eric Jiang, Rahi Abuk, Sohrab Zubarji, Muhammad Zaire, Stephen A. Yergin, Tatiana Lofton. If you heard your name, please raise your hand. I see just a few. Again, one more time, if you are signed in and you are not signed in on the name that I have called, I cannot call on you. So if you can change your name or sign out and sign back in on the name that you've registered with. Thank you so much. We will start with Matthew Baker. Matthew, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you guys for today's presentation. I saw the guidance that you gave for the winners of Cultivation and the vertically integrated applicants. I was just wondering, I thought you guys were also supposed to, I don't know if I missed the slide potentially, but I thought you guys were also supposed to give guidance on the winner for the dispensary location. So if so, I was wondering if you would mind putting that slide back up for a second, or just letting me know who the winners indeed were. Thanks.
Mr. Baker, dispensaries have not, awards for dispensaries have not been announced. Today's agenda was focused on awards for cultivation and vertically integrated applications only.
All right, thank you.
All right, so out of the names that we've called, giving a second chance to speak that have registered to speak today is Eric Jiang. Please confirm your name for us and you may proceed.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Eric Jiang. Thank you for listening. I just have one question about the licensing. Is it up to the municipality to determine if a business can operate within a school zone or within a religious worshiping location, or will the state still prevent the 1,000 feet school zoning? Because some areas in the industrial zones where they zoned, cultivation manufacturing licenses, there are large properties of schools that are taking up a large portion of it, which really restricts it. I did speak with the zoning officer for the town I was interested in, and he said it was okay as long as it's not, right in front or within 200 feet. But I know there was this 1,000 feet before, so I just wanted to make sure if it was up to the municipality or is it still up to the state about the licensing with school zones. And besides that, thank you so much. You guys are doing such a wonderful job. Thank you for working hard and really fighting for us and fighting for the licenses. Thank you.
Mr. John, just to note, in the personal use cannabis rules, the commission is deferential to municipalities on those zoning questions.
All right, Madam Chair, that was the last of the public commenters. And I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. McWhite, and thank you to everyone who spoke this afternoon. This concludes the business before us today. Do I have a motion to adjourn from one of our commissioners?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Moved by Commissioner Barker. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, was that Commissioner Delsted?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you all for joining today's meeting and congratulations to our award winners. Please visit our website to view information about, again, our RFA process and the materials related to that, as well as information about any of our upcoming meetings. Our meetings will continue to be conducted virtually until further notice. And the time is now 2:31 and we are adjourned. Have a great rest of the day and evening, everyone.